Welcome to Season 4 of the Biz Show, sponsored by InvestQuire. Discover what's next with this insightful podcast. And now, your hosts, Barry and Lisa. Hi, Barry.
Miss Lisa Manifold, how are you today?
I am doing fantastic.
Should I
Happy,
say Lisa?
yeah, we didn't do that today, so that was kind of nice. My family and friends make fun of me because they always know that we start our podcast out Barry, Lisa.
I
It's
get the same. So yeah, I
it's
called
what
you
we
Miss Lisa Manifold today. So there you go.
yeah, so proper today. Well,
We
it's
are
kind of
we are proper.
yeah, and it ties into our podcast. It's all about marketing and branding today.
It is, so we're moving now. We just moved out of the HR phase, and now we're moving into marketing and sales, branding, so on and so forth. So yeah, perfect podcast. And Lisa, this is where you shine, man. You are the marketing guru and branding guru all the time. You always tell me this, and this. So I'm like, I listen, but now
Uh,
everybody gets to listen to your advice here when we talk about this today. So I'm excited.
Great. Yeah, that's right. I'm excited too. We're on podcast number 20, season 4. So we just keep rolling them out. And hopefully you guys will find some value in today's podcast. So shall we?
Let's do it. So branding and marketing, right? They are completely two different things,
Yeah.
right?
So what's the difference?
So, and so today we're going to talk about what is the difference and how people get them confused. What one of them impacts your growth, the other impacts what?
Well,
Customer
your customer
perception, right?
and whether they're going to come back and do business with you. So that's why it's so,
Exactly.
yep.
Yeah. The thing is, and I know you can attest to this, right? You need both.
Yes, absolutely. So we'll talk about how they go hand in hand and what the differences are so that you can really kind of understand and maybe improve the way that you're doing it in your in your businesses and in your company. So yeah. So Barry, start us off.
Start us off. All right. Well, you know, a lot of businesses think if they have a marketing problem, then well, if they have a marketing problem, it might actually be a branding problem and not a marketing problem, right? Because the two kind of go hand in hand, but yet they are completely different in the sense, right? So a lot of people spend time trying to figure out, hey, nobody's coming to our website or nobody's buying our product. So those are two different things, right? Coming to your website, that's branding.
Yeah.
Buying your product, that's marketing.
Mhm.
So that's what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, and you want to make sure that you are intermingling them and that you are marketing and branding together. So when I do my marketing, I'm always thinking in the back of my mind how I'm branding myself in the marketing message because you want to be consistent. I think consistency is key. If you think about some of those commercials and logos that we kind of identify, the Starbucks logo is the mermaid and Nike has that, lightning bolt on all of
The
their
swoosh.
marketing, yeah. So you're actually, bringing your message to the forefront, but you're also branding and reinstilling that in people's subconscious minds, hopefully, so that they recognize you and they'll think of you when they're looking at that product or service.
Yep.
But they're not the same thing, and so we're going to go into the differences. But yeah, definitely they work together.
They do work together. So
Marketing drives your visibility, like I just mentioned, and it
mhm.
shapes the perception of you and your business and why they should choose you. You really want to, identify what your core values are and make that shine in your branding. And it's the chance where customers get to take a look at you. So I always say you only get one chance to make a first impression. So make it a good one and make it a lasting one, right?
Right, definitely so. I mean, first impressions are just that, first impressions. You're
Yeah.
never going to get another one. You might get a second, third, and fourth if you do your first one at least pretty well. But
Right.
after that, you're done, right? Well, let's talk about marketing for a minute, right? So what is marketing, right? It's basically activities that you use to attract customers, to generate leads, and to drive your sales. Examples of that are going to be advertising, social media, email campaigns, SEO, what we're doing right here, podcast, right?
That's
um
right.
Networking and direct outreach, maybe trade shows, or maybe networking events or something like that, right?
Yes,
So in marketing is how do people find you,
that's right. And good
right?
marketing create awareness, start to become more aware of you being a business that has the opportunity to offer services and goods that people need. And it generates their interest. It really speaks to their interest level. You want to make them want to come do business with you and purchase your goods or services. So definitely you need to keep in mind how to pique people's interest. Who is your audience? We always talk about knowing who your audience is so that you could really speak to them in your marketing message. And that will drive the engagement level, right? If you're going to know who your demographic buyer is, then you'll be able to target your marketing directly to them. And therefore, you'll have that direct engagement to them. You want to do that, obviously, to produce more opportunities for you to do business and increase your productivity. You often can measure your marketing. You can look at the analytics of it. It's usually tactical and it's campaign driven. Like we always want to drill home to you guys is like just always be consistent in your marketing and your message, and don't just do it once and think that that's the only time you have to do it. You need to be consistent in your marketing efforts.
Yes, exactly. You know, and I've mentioned this before, and it probably needs mentioning again. But in marketing, when people, when you market, or any of this branding or marketing, when they see your name, oh, okay, great. They actually won't start researching you until they've seen you 7 times on average. This is business 101 and in the marketing, right?
Yeah,
They actually will not purchase anything from you until they've seen you out there a minimum of 11 to 14 times,
right. Yeah,
right?
typically it's kind of like their way of getting to know you, and then they're going to take the labor and effort to actually do some more research on you and
Right.
maybe review your testimonials and your Google reviews online if you have those. So yeah,
Well,
it's an
and that
interesting.
leads right into the next thing of the branding, right? Because really that's all about trust, right?
Yeah,
So it takes them 11 to 14 times to trust you to maybe give you a shot. And so let's talk about branding, right? What is branding? And branding is ding, 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 ding. Oh, I throw the bell out there. Um, how people feel about you, your company,
yeah,
what they think about you, right? So that is reputation. That
yes,
is trust. That is perception, identity, and consistency, right? Also, any emotional connections that you may have. So, branding answers, what do people believe about you?
that's right. So the branding is not just your logo, it's not just the symbol, it's not just the colors. All of those do go into those decisions when you're thinking about your marketing and your branding. Um, And it's not just your tagline. Your brand is the experience that you create with your customer and how the client or your customers will perceive you. And so you want to make that an association that maybe makes you stand out from your competition, right? You want to have a branding that is not like everyone else's and makes them want to talk about you to their friends and neighbors and say, we have to, you have to go try them out and, go use their services. So make sure that you have a really good keen sense of what your, like I said, your value proposition and how you're going to brand yourself and make yourself shine in all of your marketing.
You got to shine so bright, you need sunglasses.
I, could not agree more.
Well, so there's, as we mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, right? There's differences, right? And so marketing specifically, right? Marketing it's proactive, right? Number one. Number two, it's outbound outreach, right? It's promotional, and it's ideal focused. And the goal is to generate attention or actions of whatever you happen to be marketing, right?
Yeah. Exactly. I just think about so many people now are doing so many videos on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, and they're really, I mean, you got to be careful because, some of my real estate friends, if you will, tend to maybe be a little bit more free in the way that they're branding themselves. And it kind of like creates this the emotional like connection or maybe a distaste even. So you just have to be careful. These days, now you're putting out all these videos and you're just getting all, creative and what have you, but you're creating some emotion there between the viewer and yourself. And so you want to make sure the emotion is positive and professional and definitely keep that in mind when you're branding yourself because it could really you could actually ruin the opportunity for business if people are thinking that you're not being professional in your branding and in your marketing. I mean, everyone's online now, so you could pretty much find
You know,
everyone.
you said a key word here, and I never even thought of it. And the bells are going off in my head right now. You said emotional,
Yes.
and you are absolutely 100, actually no, 1000% correct in that. Well, because you're right. So many people are out there on TikTok, on Instagram, and they got video. I mean, it's video overload, right?
Yeah, and when
Nobody's building that connection, that emotional connection to the customer. You're just blindly throwing stuff out there.
that's right. We're calling those people influencers because they're actually making money on Instagram and social media sites by doing their repetitive and consistent marketing and branding themselves and creating a reputation through the internet. So, I
Yeah,
mean, that's
but
really,
but but
really
it's
a
all
hot.
fluff.
Yeah. But then you decide for yourself, is this the type of person that I want to do business with? I mean, that's what I do when I'm looking at
Hmm.
people on doing videos. I think, gosh, would I want to hire them? What is the message that that they're really making? And it's a long term. It can have a long term impact. So make sure that you're, like I said, you're keeping those key things in play when you're doing your branding. That you are speaking to your demographic client, and also you're being professional, right? And I always think about class and sophistication and not you know, not the opposite. Because it's perception focused. You don't want to create a bad reputation for yourself or your company. And the goal is to build that trust early on in those messages, in your branding, so that they want to keep, watching you. And like Barry said, keep learning about you. After 7 times, they're going to start to maybe want to learn more and maybe pick up the phone and call you and maybe, have a consultation with you. So make sure that you're repetitive and you're building that trust and you're very consistent.
Yeah,
So the
definitely.
So the comparisons are in marketing, you're there to get their attention. In branding, you're there to build trust, right? And then also in marketing, you're there to drive leads to your business while you're branding, you're creating loyalty. You're making sure that those clients want to stay and do business and come back for more. In marketing, it's tactical. In branding, it's strategic. And in marketing, you're focused on campaigns, while in branding, you're focused on your reputation, which we just talked about. And then the last thing in marketing, you're getting like really short-term results. Hopefully that your marketing is getting people to call or come in and use your services. Whereas branding, you're having that long-term value is where things will start paying off. You're going to start to see that pipeline grow and have a consistent amount of business, hopefully, in the long term.
The long term, yes. And businesses need both. They need the short term, they need the long term. Hence, they need marketing, they need branding, right?
Right. Yeah.
So, but businesses get this wrong, right? And so there are common mistakes that a lot of founders and business owners make, right? They spend money on marketing, but they have weak branding,
Mm,
right? And
mm,
the results of that is you got a poor conversion rate, right? Because people aren't coming.
yeah,
Um, inconsistent messaging and weak customer retention, right? Customers aren't sticking around because, your branding is off and, you just can't give them what they need.
exactly. Yeah, and a lot of companies will just, hyper focus on the branding and they're not really thinking about how to draw the people in and get people's interest to come in and, you know, why should they hire you over the guy down the street, right? You want to do that marketing there and not just solely the branding. And a lot of companies will obsess over it and, constantly throw it in your face, but they're not, asking for the business. So in marketing, you're asking for the business. Um, so people may be overlooking you if you're not doing any marketing and you're only doing branding. So you have to be careful that you balance those out and that branding is, fed into the marketing. I think marketing is very, very important. Equally important as branding.
Yeah, they go hand in hand.
Hmm.
They do. It's just like,
Yep.
we mentioned before, marketing and sales, right? Marketing and sales go hand in hand, but again, they're two different things, right? Marketing brings the leads in, sales close those leads. So
That's right.
let's just take a glimpse into how these two can work together, right? Because honestly, they need to. You need to make sure that marketing and branding are cohesive and line up with one another, right? So, um, you know, the first thing you need to do is you need to build a clear brand foundation, your message, things like that, right? So what are you looking at? Who you are, what you stand for, who you serve, and what makes you different from your competition.
That's right. I really think that I was just thinking when you were talking, Barry, about how I try to drill into my team, constantly put messages out, be consistent, add value in your messages, right? That
Hmm.
just gets in front of people. And the more times that you get in front of somebody, then eventually it's going to pay off, right? Eventually they're going to pick up the phone or do more research on you and think about using you. So definitely need to have that consistency. If it helps you to create like a schedule of your marketing, I think that would be of value because then you'll know what you're going to do each week. Like this week, I'm going to talk about interest rates. Next week, we're going to talk about um, the home of the week that's for sale, and change it up and make it fun and enjoy the process of creating that calendar so that you get excited about your marketing schedule. And it's just the key in this message today is consistency because people
Hmm.
will start to see that you have a website and then they'll start to go there and do research there. You could do your marketing through like an email campaign. I do that regularly for the listings that I have. I make sure that I blast it every single week. I try to change the photos around, if you will, and just make the email look slightly different, but I make sure that I send it every single week. And then you have social media, and that is just like an endless, limitless amount of marketing you could do there. You have a LinkedIn, you got TikTok, you have Instagram, you have Facebook. Obviously, we've mentioned make sure you know who your demographic audience is for your product or service and that you're touching them in your marketing message through social media because everybody's sitting there like brainlessly while they're waiting in line at the grocery store, while they're in the dentist chair or while they're at work. They're looking online, they're looking at social media. I don't know. I have never counted how many times I look at my Facebook a day, but I think I'm going to start doing that tomorrow just to see because I'm sure I'm on Facebook or Instagram at least a dozen times throughout the day. So that's your opportunity to get your message out there, right? Because there's how many billions of trillions of people that are scrolling through their social media sites, and there's a way to boost your ads and get in front of those demographic audiences, um, and sites. You could be having marketing conversations through social media. There's a lot of DM messaging going on, so make sure that you're covering all of those bases and you're doing a consistency because consistency will build trust and bring the results.
Consistency, 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 right? That's what you're saying?
Yes.
I feel old because you mentioned sitting in the doctor's office and scrolling through your phone. I remember the days I'd go to the doctor's office and have to pick up a magazine and sit there and go through the magazine.
You're like, gosh, I hope they have some really good magazines over there on that table because you're bored out of your mind. And now,
Well, yeah,
yeah,
and it never failed. All the magazines that were there were women's magazines. I'm like, hello.
oh, like Home and Garden, and yeah,
Yeah, I'm
I know,
like, yeah, okay. That's not my cup of tea. But hey, nonetheless, I mean,
so
well,
true.
uh, yeah, so the third step here is really use marketing to amplify your branding, right? So how do you do that, right? Marketing, it should enforce your values, what your company stands for, what it's doing, so on and so forth. Your positioning within the market and maybe, where you want to go, and then your expertise. Absolutely your expertise, right? Why is anybody going to come to you if you're not an expert at what they need,
Exactly.
right? And then your customer experience. You mentioned earlier testimonies and stuff like that, right? So the testimonials can help, and that's part of the customer experience. But not just that piece of it. Also about if they're on your website, how do they experience your website? how do they interact with it? Is it easy to maneuver and get around, or is it tough? I'm looking for this and I can't find it. Things like
Yep.
that.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. And so important. It's to deliver on the promise of your message. If you're going to be offering something through marketing, make sure you're going to deliver. Like, you want to like not exceed their expectations. I always say like under promise, over deliver. That's what I train and coach on, because you'd rather have them walk away a very happy client so that they return and come back and also refer business to you. So make sure you're delivering on your promise, on your marketing message. And if you're branding yourself to say, I'm, quick at responding, or I'm providing white glove premium service, you better darn well provide top level premium white glove service and go above and beyond, and have fun with it. I always say have fun with it, be creative, think of ways to differentiate yourself from other businesses, and make them talk about you, to their friends at a dinner party. You want to be a lasting impression, in their minds and in their emotional experience working with you, right? So don't have bad response times. Don't say you're going to show up and then you're like an hour late, 10 minutes late. Don't cancel on an appointment. It's just really, really, um, a bad impression.
Those are really my pet peeves, right? Being late or canceling, because I've taken time out of my schedule to meet with somebody. And then
Everybody.
if they have to reschedule or they're 20 minutes late, whatever the case might be, now I'm sitting around twiddling my thumbs waiting when I could have been productive doing something else. But now I'm sitting around waiting. I don't
You're
like
looking
that.
at those female magazines.
Hey, now let's preface what you're saying here. All right.
Like,
Home and garden. Ay, ay, ay.
oh my gosh. I don't know if we're going to edit this part out, but a few folks are still listening. We
Lisa is trying to make me turn bright red.
I'm
She
the
is
one,
bright red.
turning red.
You
Oh my God.
are. The words came out of your mouth, not mine.
And I haven't had coffee yet.
Oh, yeah. See, and I just finished lunch. So let's talk is what's strong branding and how it helps yourselves, right? So
Yeah,
what strong branding means, right? It lowers your customers' resistance to finding you, to purchasing from you, so on and so forth. It also can improve referrals. And
yeah,
it's always good to have those referrals. That's the best type of customer experience you can have, is one of your current customers refers one of their friends to you because they had a great experience with you.
exactly. I love that.
Yes, and then that's going to increase trust, and that's going to shorten your sales cycle, right? Because now you have somebody who's already on board and already is getting ready to buy. You don't have to convince them or convert them from a no to a yes.
Yeah, they're a hot lead in your pipeline for sure. And they're
Yes.
gonna be companies that they recognize, that people are talking about already, because you know that your best friend, used this company. And so they're automatically going to trust you, right? Because somebody else they know used you and had a very good positive experience. So it's recognition, it's about trust, it's about remembering you the next time when they want to come back and hire you again. I love that. That's like the biggest compliment when somebody calls me, even though I may have not, you know, touched bases with them over a year or 2 years. And they call me back and they said, well, we had such a great experience with you. We want to hire you again. They remembered me. I left
Mhm.
that impression. And so that's the biggest compliment to my business. But, um, don't forget to touch bases with your customers. I want to drill that point into, because we all get busy and we're busy servicing our new clients and customers, but don't forget about your past business, because there's a wealth of money there. So yeah.
And just to kind of hit that home, if you will, Lisa sold me my first house 20 some odd years ago. And
Yeah.
here we are, friends today, right? So what's that say? That
He remembered
speaks
me.
volumes about what you just said, right? I
That's
remember you. You remember
there.
me.
Here's proof in the pudding.
There- we got pudding? All right. Chocolate pudding, right?
Yeah, chocolate pudding. Here, we're the proof in the pudding in that statement for
Actually,
sure.
I'm a vanilla guy. I like vanilla better than chocolate.
Well, I don't eat pudding, but that's okay.
No, neither do I, but
I'm a gelato girl.
oh, okay. Actually, I've never had a gelato. Is that pudding? I thought gelato was ice cream.
It's like an ice cream. It's like a sherbet. It's Italian.
I like sherbet. Yeah, I haven't had that. Have to give that a shot.
Go take
So,
Tam. Yep.
cool.
So
Okay, well, pro
6 pro
tips. Yeah, we always like giving out pro tips, and then we're also going to give you out some things to watch out for. So, pro tip number one is if your marketing works, or if your marketing works but your customers don't stay, your branding is too weak, right? Probably your
Yeah,
branding that's the issue, right? Because they don't trust you, you're not reliable, any of that stuff. So, yeah, they might buy once from you, poof, they're gone. Tip
exactly.
number two is brand consistency matters more than brand complexity. You can keep it simple, right? It doesn't have to be complex and intertwined and all this stuff. Just a little bit of branding here and there goes a very, very long way. So, but make sure this consistent, right?
Mhm.
And then tip number three is your customer experience is part of the marketing strategy. And if you've done your job well and it's worked well, you can get them to give a testimonial, which will also add to that, not just the marketing side, but also on the branding side.
That's right. And then pro tip number 4 is your brand voice should sound the same everywhere. Don't just brand yourself to certain people and then forget to do it everywhere else that you're marketing. Make sure that your brand voice is consistent, not just weekly or daily or monthly, but also across the board in all of your platforms. Pro tip number 5, do not market your promises and operations that you're not going to or cannot deliver. Don't just, try to bring the business in, but you're not able to actually give them that price or what have you. That's just such false misrepresentation of facts and of your business or services, and you're just going to fall on and lose the client. So don't do that. Pro tip number 6, the strongest brands are built through repetition and reliability and not just the flashy campaigns, right? Not just a one time commercial or what have you, but they're strong brands that have the repetition, consistency, and they're reliably there for the audience to say, oh, yeah, there she is again, right?
Yeah. You know, I just recently had an experience with tip number four that you said, right? And
Oh,
that's really the voice being consistent everywhere.
yeah.
I saw something on a website. I went, oh, okay, cool. And it was really nice and professional and stuff like that. So I picked up the phone, I called, and here's what I got. Hello? Yeah. Um,
That's
yeah, okay. Yeah, I can do that. I hung up. I mean, they didn't introduce their company name. Okay, I get it. They probably figured I knew who I was calling already, but they were just so not professional and
yeah.
very I don't want to say demeaning, but
Half
they were just off-putting, right? They were off-putting. They were just like very almost to the being mean.
so your emotional experience with them was very negative.
Yeah, online it looked great. I thought I was calling a tier one company or something, right? And it's like,
Oh,
all right, I was expecting nice, polite, so on and so forth. Instead, what I got, what do you want? Like, whoa,
you just woke him up from a nap, it sounds like.
I think I did.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things to avoid, right? There we go. So let's
Yeah,
talk 5 things to avoid. It's
what are
confusing
they?
your with logos and graphics only. Your branding is not just the colors and the pretty logos. It's your value. It's who you are and why you're different. Why am I going to be a better realtor than my son Anthony? What makes you different? Oh,
Blonde hair, brunette hair, whatever the case might be, right?
the
Yeah, what
girl
makes
needs
you different? I didn't notice. Oh boy, this podcast, I tell you. So inconsistent messaging, right? That is going to be a major issue. You got to have consistency, right? If you're inconsistent, that's something you need to avoid.
Yeah,
Also ignoring your customer's experience. The customer's got a complaint because they've been on your website, they can't find what they're looking for, and they reached out to you and you didn't respond to them. Guess what? They're going to your competition, and
yeah,
you've lost that sale, right? And
yeah,
then last is treating branding and marketing as separate silos. They actually work together, and you need to make sure that they complement one another.
yeah. It's very easy to forget that. So
And if you have issues or concerns or you don't know, Lisa is the person that you need to talk to.
definitely reach out to me anytime. I mean, send me a DM on Facebook, Instagram, or on our Biz Show and our Facebook pages all over the social media sites. We also have a website, investacquire.com.
Yes, you can get a hold of both of us there.
That's right. So, the strongest businesses understand how to use both marketing and branding strategically together because they're intertwined. So, I encourage all of you to come back next week and listen to our podcast show, The Biz Show, next week again. And please subscribe. We're trying to
Please.
increase numbers and have a audience numbers growing each week.
Right. We have a great following, a growing following on our audio podcast, which is Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Apple, Google. And we popped up on, my gosh, probably 20 other now sites for podcasts as well. Because we are syndicated. However, we are still really trying to grow the YouTube here. We just started, this is our first season on it, and we only have a handful of subscribers and probably about 200 views so far. So please help us out and subscribe and then tell your friends about us.
That's right. We'll see you next week. So, what do we always say at the end?
Goodbye. Go make some money.
Go make some money. Thank you all for listening to the Biz Show podcast. Subscribe to stay updated and follow Barry and Lisa on Facebook at The Biz Show. Share your comments or suggest business topics that you'd like to hear. Thank you all for listening.